This episode of the SloopCast is brought to you by the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. The Mad Canadian Barbecue Company is an Ohio-based company where they say our seasoning will take your barbecue from good to great. Mad Canadian will be up in Cary, Ohio at the OLC Shrine Cafeteria for some barbecue and bingo. Who doesn't love some barbecue and bingo? This Thursday again, 4 to 7 in Cary, Ohio. They will also be up in Upper Sandusky this Halloween from noon to 4 at the Fall Craft Show at the Wyandotte County Fairgrounds. Be sure to hit up the Mad Canadian social media sites, Facebook and Twitter, for more information about him and his food truck. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, who are the official barbecue of the Cary High School Blue Devils.
This episode of the SloopCast is also brought to you by the Iron Bean Coffee Company. Who? That's how you do it, Kyle. The Iron Bean Coffee Company is a premium, small batch, roast order, veteran-owned coffee company. They're a world-class hand roaster. All of their coffee is fresh, roast to order. It's roasted right here in Ohio, more specifically Toledo, more specifically yet in Perrysburg. All of their beans are fair trade certified and USDA organic. Integrity is the core value of what they do. They import all of their high-quality coffee beans directly from Colombia, Brazil, Uganda, Honduras, Peru, Ethiopia, Indonesia, and other far-off lands. It's time to start thinking about Christmas, and it's time to start thinking about holiday shopping and all of that. So if you want to get someone a gift card, you can. If you want to get someone a sampler so they can find their favorite coffee for themselves, you can also do that by going to, they have the package, the whole shebang. I couldn't think of it. You can buy the whole shebang sampler, which will buy your gift recipient one of each of their unflavored coffees. So you can do that and maybe buy yourself something while you're at it over at ironbeancoffee.com. That is Iron Bean Coffee, America's local coffee roaster.
How's everybody doing today?
I'm not gonna lie, I lost my breath a little bit on that ad read.
Team Chaos took some souls this weekend, Jared.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And we will get
could have taken more. Could have taken more.
Also may have taken less, depending upon if we want to. Listen, I counted NC State.
Yeah.
Should we have?
I don't know.
But I did.
We'll get into it here, Jared. So let's start the show.
We've got barbecue back here. You're all invited. Welcome to the SloopCast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing all right here. How are you doing today, Jared?
Doing today's Jared?
Doing today's Jared, yes.
Doings today's is Jared's? Schmiegel?
All right. We got our Collegiate Chaos. I got it right this time. We're doing our Collegiate Chaos episode.
There you go.
So we're gonna do things a little bit different today. Jared has wiped the board clean.
I have.
He's wiped the board clean here, and we're going to go ahead and pull up the board here, and we are going to get into our rankings.
Yeah. So let me do the things.
So as Jared's doing that here, so going to classify our rankings here. We're only going to do C, B, A, and S tiers. Maybe a few, not as many C's, but mainly S, A, and B tiers. S tier, we think that they have a legitimate shot at making the playoffs. A tier.
Sorry. S tier is our top 4 teams. Those are the teams in the playoffs right now, per our opinion.
Okay. The A tier is they have a good shot of making the playoffs. B tier has a good chance of winning their division and making their conference championship.
I think we're calling it like a far outside shot at the playoffs.
Okay. And then the C is C.
Whatever. It's a good team that just doesn't have a shot at this point.
All right. Since we are an Ohio State podcast, we are going to talk about the Big Ten. So let's talk some Big Ten football to start the show here. And what better way than the Penn State Illinois game?
Good God.
Going into 9 overtimes. Illinois winning 20-18.
Leave it to the Big Ten to have a 9 overtime game that still goes under.
Yes. I think the over-under was 43 or 44. Yeah. It had to go it had to go into 20 overtimes to get that.
Or, score some points in regulation. Not a great showing. Kyle, this is Penn State's second loss. Team Chaos has feasted. So they're not an A tier. They're not an S tier. They would need a ton of help to get into the playoff. Or are they out of the playoffs, period, at this point?
I think you put them at the very end of the B tier. They're like on 1 foot hanging off the edge on B right now.
Stick them right there on that's about Cedar Point, right?
Yeah, sure. All right. Let's see. Wisconsin taking care of business over Purdue. Purdue was ranked, I think they were 25th, but Wisconsin wins 30-13. Do we care putting any of these teams on the board here, Jared?
No.
Okay.
None of these teams are going to the playoffs.
All right. Michigan beats Northwestern 33-7. I think that was a cover by Michigan here, but Michigan
was
doing what they need to do here to win games. They're undefeated here, going into their big matchup here against a little brother, big brother, depends on who you ask. Both undefeated teams this next weekend here. So as much as people would want us to put it way down into the M tier,
yeah,
I think Michigan right now is an A tier team right now.
Yeah, absolutely. They, I'm not putting them in my top 4 by any means, so they're not going in the S tier, but they control their own destiny into the playoffs. If they beat Ohio State and if they go undefeated, win the division, win the conference, they're in the playoffs. So they control absolutely. I agree with you, Hoosier Buck. It's not going to happen.
Okay. Iowa did not.
They still control their own destiny.
Iowa did not play, Jared. Where would you like to put Iowa? They had a bye week this week.
They're still a 1-loss team. They're still in control, I think, of their fate. I think if they win the Big Ten, they have a legitimate shot at making the playoff. I still say they're an A tier team.
Okay. I think I put them at the bottom of A tier, but yeah, I'm fine with that.
They wouldn't. They're not at the top of A tier. They're not at the top.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then talked about the Ohio State game in our previous episode. S tier. The way that they've been playing right now, offensively, the best offense in the country right now. Defense is getting better right now. Definitely one of the top 4 teams in the country right now.
Not yet. Number 1 offense and a respectable defense.
Yep.
I've seen teams win the national title with worse than that.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the top 4, no doubt.
Yep. And then Sparty, who also had a bye week, currently ranked 8th. So going up against, again, little brother, big brother, depending on who you're asking.
I agree, Buckeye Zach. I think LSU in 2019 is a good comp for Ohio State right now.
Mm-hmm. So I put Sparty lower A tier as well. They control their own destiny right now, undefeated. We'll find out really who this Sparty team is this weekend. I mean, both Jared and I have expressed our opinions on Sparty in previous weeks.
You mean that they're fake good?
Yeah, but it's put up or shut up this weekend for Sparty and Michigan. We'll find out who these teams are after this weekend here.
Yeah, they're renting space in A tier.
Yep. All right, I think that's all the Big Ten teams here, Jared. I think that's all that we care about. talking about.
I think as far as relevant Big Ten teams, that would be it. Playoff relevant Big Ten teams. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool. All right, moving on to top 25 matchups from the weekend here. Pulling up my notes here.
I'll drop a Team Chaos regardless, Buckeye Zach. It's a top 10 loss.
Yep, Coastal Carolina loses to Appy State 30-27. I think that was Thursday. I think that was a Thursday game.
Wednesday.
Game? I forget. Wednesday game, man. Do you care? I think you put Coastal Carolina as a C tier right now. I don't think that pretty much put them out of the playoffs right now. Still,
you have to go undefeated.
Their first loss of the season still. But
if you play Coastal Carolina's schedule, you have to go undefeated, and
yes,
they didn't.
Yep. All right. SMU took care of business over Tulane. Where would you like to put SMU at?
I'm putting them down in C tier as well. They're undefeated, which is nice. I don't see the playoff taking them seriously.
They are undefeated. They are undefeated, just like the Bearcats.
Yeah, but they didn't beat Notre Dame or Indiana.
Yep, I agree.
And they don't recruit like Cincinnati recruits. And they didn't get an invite to the Big 12 for next year.
Yep.
Oklahoma,
Oklahoma, a lot closer game than the final score. Oklahoma scored a touchdown right at the end there to win 35-23, much closer than that was. Another week goes by and Oklahoma just somehow getting a win. Just somehow getting a win here.
They have a very bad habit of playing down to their competition.
Yeah, but they keep, like what Zach just said down in the chat there, they keep winning.
Yeah.
But
and
I put them in the A tier. I would put them in the A tier.
They're absolutely in the driver's seat to win their conference. Who else wins the conference? Because Oklahoma State got revealed for who they are who we thought they were. So who else in the Big 12 could even challenge them at this point?
Then you put Oklahoma State down in the B tier then, right now. That was their first loss. And then Iowa State, you can argue that they could be in the B tier as well, but they're B, C tier for me.
Yeah, and I think B tier to me is essentially a team with 2 losses. It's a very good team with 2 losses, I think is what B tier is to me. Because we've never seen, and this year's been so chaotic so early that if it were going to happen, this year might be the year for it to happen. But we've never seen a 2-loss team get a playoff berth.
Nope. And
OU to the B tier. No.
Now, here's an undefeated team that you can possibly talk about a B tier here. Wake Forest. This game against Army, 70-56. 70-56. The over under, Jared, was 54, and the losing team was over the over under.
Yeah. That was one of the dumbest games. I didn't watch it. I had it on my laptop in the corner of my eye, and every time I looked over, Wake Forest had a guy just running by himself for a long touchdown. That's
where would you put Wake Forest? Wake Forest here. Wake Forest is just so weird. They're an undefeated ACC team, but they keep winning. Their quarterback's playing very well here.
Yeah,
I'd say a solid B right now. If they keep winning, they definitely could have a shot there at the A tier. If things get chaotic, Wake Forest in the playoffs.
I have such a hard time seeing it. Like, with everything we've said, to be fair and to be consistent, we should almost be putting them in A tier. They're a team that can easily win their conference title. And everything we're saying about now, we could be saying about Pitt as well. So we might as well include Pitt into this conversation. They're teams with very good quarterbacks who are playing very well. They're teams with one loss. They're teams that control their fate within their conference. They're on opposite sides of their conference, so they'll in theory end up playing each other, because who had that one on the bingo card? Wake Forest versus Pitt for the ACC title.
Well, I'm looking at Wake Forest's remaining schedule. It's not an easy road for them. North Carolina, NC State, Boston College, and Clemson left on their schedule.
Am I supposed to be afraid of any of those teams based off of what I've seen?
I'm not saying that you should be afraid, but it's a lot. It's harder than their first part, which they played Old Dominion, Norfolk State, Florida State, Louisville, Syracuse. It's definitely tougher than their first half.
Yeah. But yeah, again, when we're talking about Wake Forest and Pitt, we're talking about the same team in many ways. I don't see either of those teams being talented enough to hang with the teams that we're putting in S and A tier. I think they're teams that are taking advantage of and of course, Wake Forest is undefeated and Pitt has one loss. That needs to be said.
And who did Pitt lose to as well?
Western Michigan.
Directional Michigan team. Yes.
I don't understand how.
All right. Cincinnati.
We really probably should have Wake Forest in A, even though they don't. No, I really don't feel like they're talented enough to.
Not yet. Not for me. No.
On paper, they should be.
Cincinnati had a scare with Navy. Here's another armed forces team that put up a scare again.
Never.
Cincinnati. I'd put them in the S tier right now.
We're going S.
I'd put Cincinnati in the S tier.
All right, let's put them up there for now. Remember, we're only allowed to put 4 teams in S tier, so we're gonna put them up there for now. And Kyle, should we have put Oklahoma in S tier?
No, because there's.
Let's put them up there for now.
Okay, all right.
We might move them back down.
All right. Moving on here. Let's see. We talked about that. All right, Oregon.
Keep in mind, gangland, we're working off of a new chart. We're putting 4 teams. We are putting 4 teams. No matter what, we are putting 4 teams in S tier.
Yeah. All right. Next game here, Oregon escapes with the win against UCLA. I thought UCLA had a chance right at the end there, but Oregon escapes with the win here, 34-31. This Oregon team is just, I have a hard time really pinpointing who this Oregon team is. Like, are they this team that beat Ohio State, or are they this team who lost to Stanford?
They lost to Ohio State when Ohio State couldn't defend a pass against a quality high school team. By the way, Ohio State has not let up a rushing touchdown since Oregon. I'm going to go ahead and toss that little factoid out there. I mean, I think they're an A-tier team is where I'm putting them right now. I think they could get into the playoffs. I don't think that they control their own destiny into the playoffs, but I think they can easily get to the playoffs. I think A-tier is where they belong.
Okay. Yep. I agree. Ole Miss beats LSU 31-17. Here's Ole Miss now ranked in the top 10 now.
Yep.
What do you make of this Ole Miss team? Their only loss was to Alabama here. And I think I think they're a solid team here, but they need a lot of help to get into the SEC championship here.
They're lacking on the defensive side. They have a really nice quarterback, and I just don't see the talent, in all honesty. They have a really nice quarterback, and Lane Kiffin gets that school a bunch of attention, so that's helpful. I just don't see them as like a top to bottom talented enough team to put them in the same conversation as
Yeah,
To,
I'm
to
fine with
me, to me, they're the Michigan State of the SEC right now. They're in
I'm
the top
fine.
10 due to a lack of better options.
Yeah, I'm fine putting them in the B tier here. This
I
is a
think
team
they're,
that had
I think they're,
this is
well, okay,
well.
no, you're
Hold
right.
on,
You're
hold on.
right.
This
No,
is
no,
this is
you're
a
right.
team who won by 1 to Arkansas, won by 5 to Tennessee here, and won by 10 against Louisville, a pretty bad Louisville team as well. I I think B is right where they should be right now.
Probably.
Now it could change here. They do have some interesting games coming up here: Auburn, Texas A&M. So yeah, they could possibly move up to the A tier in our list here, but I think B is where they should be.
Uh, Buckeye Zach says B is fair, but C is truth, and I think that's about what this is. I they're a second loss away from moving down to the C tier, which is I think where they probably belong.
Yep. All right, Jared. I think this is a good place right here to pause and take a quick ad break.
All right. Kyle, tonight's episode is brought to you by the Iron Bean Coffee Company. The Iron Bean Coffee Company is an Ohio-based company. Yada yada yada. We did all that, right? Where they're fresh roasted, veteran owned, marine owned, Ohio based, all that. Let's talk about a coffee or two. Over at the Iron Bean Coffee Company, they have I'm going to go ahead and throw this over Kyle and I's face here. Kyle, if you need to pick your nose, now would be a good time. I threw the Iron Bean over your face. Let's take a look at their new flavored coffees. Unicorn's not new, but it's always worth talking about. It's their R&D coffee. You never know exactly what it's going to be. That's what makes it fun. I feel like Starburst used to have those mystery ones every once in a while. It's that. You have the salted caramel mocha. That's pretty self-explanatory. The vanilla hazelnut, also pretty explanatory. Guys, the cinnamon roll sold out. The cinnamon roll has sold out. If you want to get one of these new flavored coffees, you might want to hurry. Because as is the Bananas Foster, also sold out. The peanut butter chocolate, I've not had this one yet myself, but I have heard from several people in the Discord that it's not like that artificial peanut buttery flavor that sometimes artificial peanut butter has. It's not that. It's very good. Yeah, Gangland swears by it. Nomad swears by it. I've heard from several people who are like, no. I know what you're talking about when you're talking about that fake peanut butter and chocolate taste. It's not that. It's genuine. It's good. And honestly, I expect nothing less from Iron Bean. You have the butter pecan, and then you have some of the older, more mainstay of the flavored coffees. Mom's Carrot Cake currently sold out. The white chocolate peppermint currently sold out, but still available. The Dylan's Grog, the Intense Blueberry, and the Mint Chocolate Chip. All of these flavored coffees available to you, as well as a long, long list of standard coffees, of not flavored coffees, over at ironbeancoffee.com. That is Iron Bean Coffee, America's local coffee roaster.
This episode is also brought to you by the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. Mentioned at the top of the show where you can find the Mad Canadian this Thursday and Sunday. Let me read a few reviews from actual customers that partake in some of that delicious barbecue from the Mad Canadian. Here's one that says, there we go. It said, my wife and I had Mad Canadian here, and they were the best ribs I've ever had. Awesome products, and can't wait to get my hands on some more. Here's another lady who said that she lives in Arizona, but had great experience and is awesome. And here's one guy that I love this review. Food, 10 out of 10. Beard, 10 out of 10. Mad, 10 out of 10. Canadian, TBD.
That one's fair.
Yes. Check out the Mad Canadian again this Thursday in Cary, this Sunday up in what did I say? Upper Sand? No, it wasn't Upper Sandusky. Yes, it was Upper Sandusky, the Wyandotte County Fairgrounds this Sunday from noon to 4. Check out the Mad Canadian social media to find out more information about him and his food truck. Mad Canyon Barbecue Company, who are the official barbecue of the Cary High School Blue Devils.
All right, Kyle, before we get too much further in the games, we're talking about some of the games, we're talking about where we're ranking these teams. Who else was on a bye week this past week? Georgia did not play, correct?
Georgia did not play. I would put Georgia
S
in
tier.
the S tier. If you don't put
Absolutely.
Georgia in the if any list that doesn't put Georgia in the S tier, you're doing
Yeah.
it wrong.
They're
Same thing
basically
with Ohio State.
I almost said unanimous number one team in the country right now. I'd love to see Ohio State play them. I'm not afraid of them. I'll say that. I would love to see Ohio State's number one offense versus their number one defense. I'm not afraid of them. I think Ohio State can go toe to toe.
I agree.
I'd like to see it.
I agree. So I'm just looking down here, looking at this list. Kentucky. I don't think Kentucky played. No, Kentucky did not play. They are currently ranked. They're currently ranked 12th.
They have one loss. They're in the SEC East, which does give them an easier path than Ole Miss in the SEC. No, it doesn't, because
they lost to Georgia.
Because they lost to Georgia. I'm going to say C tier.
Yep.
Only because they lost. I mean, they lost to Georgia, and I don't see them getting in the SEC championship game. I don't see Georgia dropping 2 games.
All right.
I just don't see it.
Let's see. Also not playing was Baylor. Baylor is 16th with 1 loss as well. I'd probably put Baylor. Currently, I'd put Baylor in the.
I mean, 1 loss in the Big 12.
I'd say C right now, but man, they can make that up. They can be up in the B tier quickly. They play Texas and Oklahoma here in the next few weeks.
The difference to me between Kentucky with 1 loss and Baylor with 1 loss is that Baylor still gets to play Oklahoma, and Kentucky already lost to the team they need to beat in Georgia.
Yep.
So it's not even me saying Baylor's a better team than Kentucky, because I don't think that's true. This is about, to me, a team's playoff ability to make the playoffs. And Kentucky lost to the team they need to beat, and Baylor just hasn't yet. They haven't had that opportunity yet to win or lose against that team that they need to beat.
Yep. I put the same belt with Auburn. Auburn, I put in the C tier as well. Let's see. San Diego State 1. I probably put them in the. San Diego State's undefeated here, but I don't think they're going to get a shot just because of their schedule here. I'd probably put San Diego State in the C tier as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're only even on the chart because they're currently undefeated, and it's not like they've played anyone, but I put them on the chart because they're undefeated.
Let's see.
Harvard and Yale, gangland, are not FBS.
Yeah,
would be my answer to that.
All right, let's get back to the games that happened here. Alabama beats Tennessee 52-24. It was definitely a lot closer early on here, Jared. This Alabama team,
Buckeyes.
This Alabama team, it was close.
It's not.
It was a close game going into that fourth quarter, and then I don't think the final score really told how this game really ended up here. But I can't blame you if you put Alabama still in the S tier, just because of the playmakers that they have. The defense is doing their thing. But if you move them to the S tier, Jared, who would you move? Who would you move down then?
That's the thing. I don't want to. I mean, they're an A tier team. Absolutely, they're incredibly flawed. I think Their offense is not efficient. It's not smooth right now. Their defense is vulnerable. It doesn't look like Alabama right now. It just doesn't look like Alabama. As Kyle said, that game was way, way closer for way, way longer against the Tennessee team. That's not, I promise you, not very good. Is not a very good Tennessee team. They let Tennessee, they were losing to Tennessee 14-7 at the end of the first quarter.
And then it was 21-14 at halftime.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not putting them in the S tier right now. They'll have their opportunity. They control their own destiny. If Bama wins out, including beating Georgia in the SEC title game, they'll get their playoff spot. They control their own destiny. Bama fans don't need to worry about the external shit right now. It doesn't matter. They need to worry about their own internal shit right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, Gangland says, I think they look like a run-of-the-mill SEC team. I don't think they could beat Georgia. I completely agree. He says they can't handle blitzes. I completely agree. Buckeye Zach asks, Tennessee versus IU in a bowl, who would win Tennessee versus Indiana?
I'd say Tennessee, honestly. Indiana has they don't have a quarterback right now, and that's what's hurting them. You'll probably take Tennessee right now.
It just kind of depends upon if Penix is standing, and I say that because if Penix is standing, then they have a hope. If Penix isn't standing, they don't have a hope against Tennessee. But Ohio State annihilated Indiana, from the first quarter on, whereas Alabama needed a half to get even started in that game.
Yep. Let's see. Do you want to include North Carolina State after they lost to Miami?
Is that loss number what for them?
I think that is loss number 2. I am trying to pull it up right now. That is loss number 2 for North Carolina State.
Yeah. I don't even want to include.
If you put okay. All right. If I would, it would be C tier. I think they're an okay team, but
yeah, I mean the gist of what we're doing right now is we don't even necessarily want to use the D tiers at the moment. We just kind of want to focus on SABC.
Texas A&M takes care of business over South Carolina, 44-14. We saw Texas A&M being able to beat Alabama just a couple weeks ago here, and I don't know. I don't know where to put them. B tier, C tier. I'm honestly not too sure where to put them.
I'm gonna say C tier right now, but they have the chance of going up the board a decent amount if Bama were to lose again, because then that puts them in the driver's seat in the SEC West.
Yep, they got a bye. Yep, they got a bye.
As Gangland just asked, could they win the West? Yes, they could.
As they got a bye week this week, but they got back-to-back games against Auburn and Mississippi State here. So yeah, we'll see how they do here in the next few weeks. And then the last game here, Jared, we have Notre Dame and USC. Notre Dame wins 31-16. And Jared, I didn't watch a single second of this game, so I can't tell you anything about this game other than I see the final score.
Yeah, it's Notre Dame. The loss to Cincinnati, and it's their only loss, which is kind of unfortunate. But
I probably put Notre Dame in the B tier here.
I think so. I think it's possible, but I think they need a lot of help.
But they don't really play anybody else the rest of this year. North Carolina,
they just kind of have to survive and hope that chaos happens external to them.
North Carolina game could have been good. Then they play Navy, Virginia, Georgia Tech, and Stanford. Not that great of a remaining schedule here.
All right, Kyle. I have to ask this question before we go too much further. Did we overrate Penn State and Iowa State, two teams with 2 losses. Now that we're like starting to figure out our new ranking system, do you think maybe we overrated Penn State and Iowa State? Because they're the only teams with 2 losses in that B tier right now.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. We're still figuring out our new scale. We're still figuring out the new scale. So we're going to drop those guys down to C.
Okay. And then Baylor you can keep at the B tier right now. That's fine with me.
Yeah, and like I said, Baylor has an opportunity to beat Oklahoma still. I don't think they do.
And then you have 2 teams here, BYU and UTSA.
I'm including UTSA in the chart because they're undefeated, and that's great, and that's fun, but they're in the C tier.
Yep. Now, BYU,
2 losses, an independent team. Should we even include them on the chart? Do they belong in the C tier?
They are currently ranked 25th. Well, again, these rankings don't really matter, but
they don't matter at all.
I don't think so. I don't think they have a shot at all at getting in the playoffs. There's no way.
Yeah. So I mean, again, to surmise what we're doing with the new chart here, currently in the playoff, a very good chance to get into the playoff, an okay chance of getting into the playoff. C tier is like 1%, like on life support, or if enough crazy shit happens around them, is sort of where C tier is. Not 100% dead yet.
Yeah.
Although, like, maybe 99% dead.
Yeah.
All right. I'm asking Kyle. I'm asking the chat. Should someone be in the chart who's not in, like, is there anyone in college football who you think even has a remote 0.5% chance of getting into the playoffs who we do not currently have on the chart? And also, how are we feeling about the S tier?
I'm fine with the S tier right now. I know there's a lot of people, both sides. You can argue with Cincinnati, like,
yeah,
right. You have people like they're undefeated. They have wins against Indiana and Notre Dame. And then you have the other side is like the other side of, well, if they played Georgia or Alabama,
who do you
Ohio State
replace
right
them
now,
with?
they would get destroyed right now. But
Gangland, new chart rules. 4 teams go in S tier.
For Cincinnati, though, is that they don't have to play those teams in the regular season.
Yeah, and to me, as I see things right now, I kind of see Ohio State. If we were doing a hyper detailed tier list, I kind of see Georgia on their own right now, and I see Ohio State on their own in that second tier. And then there's a third tier that would have like Oklahoma and Cincinnati, probably
and Alabama.
Bama. And maybe that's it. Maybe throw Oregon on that chart. Maybe throw Michigan on that tier. Yeah, I don't know.
Yep. All right, let's get to some questions.
Hold on.
Here.
Gangland said what I was trying to say better. You should separate them at the opposite end. Let's see. Georgia, little gap to OSU. OSU, huge gap to OU. Yeah, I would say that. Like, Georgia's the S tier. Ohio State's like the SA tier.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some questions here, Jared.
Let's do that. Let me get out of this mode and you ask questions.
Yep, just a few here. Nomad asks us, does Jimbo take the LSU job? Does Dabo hold out for the Bama job?
Hold on. Technical. Kyle, is our Zoom not showing back up in the window?
Nope.
Technical issues. We have technical issues.
Yeah, while Jared's trying to do that here, Dabo, man, like what is going on with Clemson right now? This is their 3rd loss right now, I believe. Yeah, it's their third loss here. There's a lot there's a lot of talk about Dabo and like is this his last year at Clemson, or is he gonna go to a different university next year? I don't think Dabo's going to go anywhere for what he's built in Clemson right now. But man, let's just say hypothetically, end of 2022, Saban retires. He says, I'm done. And let's say Dabo has another 2 or 3 loss season next year. Could you see Dabo going to Alabama though? I, w- I, I wouldn't bet on that, and I wouldn't bet either side of that.
Yeah, I was about to say, if he has this season and then another 3-loss season, I don't know if the people at Bama want him. I don't know. I kind of see Dabo as a lifer at Clemson. That's just how I see it right now.
Okay. Does Jimbo take the LSU job?
No. Hell no.
Nope.
Why do people think the LSU job's attractive?
Yeah. Just because it's SEC, Jared.
It's so Texas A&M.
Who's your Buckeye? Yeah. Who's your Buckeye, Zach? What's the over-under on Dabo's termination at the end of the season? 0.
Yeah, no, it's
0.
not happening. Termination, as in, no, not happening.
No, that would never happen. He'll leave to go to another coaching job. He'll never be terminated unless something comes up.
Unless there's a that's different. If they find some emails of him using words that begin with N or something along those lines, then maybe. But outside of that, for football reasons. You will not be fired from Clemson anytime soon for football reasons. Maybe they find emails, Zach. Mm-hmm. Maybe they find emails. I don't know. That I just had to throw that asterisk on there.
Yep. All right, Jared. Let's see. Would Alabama really want Dabo, considering he has too many drop-offs? Zach asks. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Probably. Maybe not. Yeah. Maybe Alabama probably wouldn't if Dabo has 3 losses again next year. Let's just say hypothetically.
Problem is like, who replaces Saban? We're talking literally the best college football coach of his generation, if not beyond that.
Yep.
Saban's A1. That's it.
Would Sark go back to Alabama?
I mean, let's slow down. The guy failed at USC. He is, he didn't have magic pixie dust to sprinkle over Texas. They are not back. It's year 1. I'm not saying he's failing at Texas. It's year 1. They look fine. Do they look considerably better than they did under Tom Herman? Considerably better than under Tom Herman? I don't think so.
No. Right, Jared,
maybe he does good stuff there. I don't know, but that's just undecided yet at this point.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jared, that is all for today's episode.
All right. I want to encourage everyone to check out the t-shirt store. Although I'm not, neither of us are wearing anything you can currently buy in either of our t-shirt stores. So we're not being good ambassadors for the brand. But SloopCast, merch.thesloopcast.com to buy some of our podcast merch. If you want to support us by buying some t-shirts, but don't necessarily want to walk around wearing a shirt that someone says, "Oh, what's that?" And you're like, "Oh, it's a podcast I listen to," and then you feel awkward. You can go buy some cool Ohio stuff, just like some general Ohio stuff, over at 7071, the number 7071 thesloopcast.com, and it's just some cool Ohio merch, and you can check out some stuff there. I'm wearing this shirt today, which I think I bought at Target or something. It's just a red 36. That's all this is. And if you want to know why I decided to wear my red 36 this week, then go ahead and stick around for Kyle's Corner.
Yes, and that would be Ohio State legend Chris Spielman. He has announced himself into the Lions Ring of Honor.
I understand exactly what you're saying, Kyle, but it doesn't sound good if people don't understand the context. You have to go see the video. If you haven't seen the video, the Lions pulled the nicest prank of all time against Chris Spielman, where they were having him do what he thought was probably some sort of standard promotional material, because he works for the Lions. Some standard promo material. And then he goes and he starts reading, and he figures out that he's reading himself. He's reading a promo about himself being inducted into the Lions Ring of Honor, which is going to happen this Sunday, which is a week from when we're recording this, but considerably closer. And Gangland says Gerd just posted a 6 stat. So let's expand Kyle's Corner into Kyle and Gerd Corner.
Right,
by the way, Kyle's traveling this week, and Tony Gerdeman is confirmed, unless shit changes, because sometimes shit changes. You know, we're all humans with lives and stuff. But as of right now, Tony Gerdeman confirmed for our Friday episode of Sloop Picks.
Nice. What about Thursday?
I haven't figured Thursday out yet.
All right. So, Gerdeman here. See what he has here. So, Travion Henderson has 21 of his
Matthew.
carries. 21 of his carries have been for over 10 yards. 8 of those have been for 20. 6 of those for 30. 4 of those for 40, and 2 of those for 50 yards.
That's insane. Hey, Matthew, if you're going to say finally someone who has some sense, and I get, but you should probably spell sense correctly. Listen, if you're going to take shots, I'm going to take shots back.
All right, that's all. That's all I have, and I will.
I'm just having fun with you, Matthew.
I'll catch everybody back here next week, and I'll send you my stuff, Jared, so you can read that for our picks and all that too. So,
hey, Matthew, don't worry about it. Whenever I listen to the show back, I end up misspeaking like 5 times an episode. It's all good, man. It's all good. Don't worry about it. All right, Kyle, that's the end of the show. Tonight's ending music will be brought to you by Ohio Punk Royalty, punk band with their roots right here in Columbus, right in Ohio State. They are called the New Bomb Turks. So go ahead, if you're listening to the podcast, stick around, do nothing. You might already be hearing it. And for those of you on YouTube, just go down in the show notes and find a link, and you can listen to the song there. So with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, this is the New Bomb Turks.